There are a number of challenges in running a good zoo. The care and feeding of the animals, of course, keeping them alive and healthy, and providing an interesting and educational experience for all the people who come to see them. Less obvious to the visitors is all of the research, the science, the problem solving that goes on when it comes to dealing with animal reproduction, making it happen when you want, preventing it when you don't.
For us, it really is two sides of the same coin because it's really understanding the reproductive process and either enhancing it or limiting it. And
if you want to know about this sort of thing, you can't do much better than talking with the St. Louis Zoo's Dr. Cheryl Asa. Because of her internationally recognized work in this field, she was honored with the St. Louis Academy of Sciences 2016 Lifetime Achievement Award. And she's also been honored by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Some of the challenges she's working on have in fact been created by the success of zoos in their breeding programs.
When animals started being brought into zoos in the early 1900s in the U.S., for instance, the challenge was getting them to breed at all and to find the right food for them, the right conditions, medical care, and by 1960s, 70s, and into the early 80s, that was going really well. People started looking at contraception. So rather than having to allow animals to be moved into non-AZA accredited zoos that might not give them as high quality care, or to avoid having to kill a lot of animals in order to make space, contraception became a very attractive alternative.
And it worked. But there were unintended consequences that have only recently come to light.
What we found, and our lab actually discovered this about 5 years ago, is that if you don't allow females to breed regularly, they become infertile. And people had the impression you could turn them off with contraception and just turn them back on. And as a matter of fact, that doesn't work as smoothly as we had hoped.
When she talks about her lab, it's in this building at the zoo, which visitors don't usually see. And the work she directs has consequences that go far beyond the zoo's animal populations. She's played a key role in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's Mexican Wolf Recovery Project. These animals are at the Endangered Wolf Center in Eureka.
Dr. Cheryl Asa has been involved with the Endangered Wolf Center for over 20 years, and we have done a lot of work on gamete preservation, so sperm collection of critically endangered species to help with things like reproduction or artificial insemination.
Now, as it turns out, preserving semen is tricky business, and successful techniques that work for, say, humans or cattle do not necessarily work for other species. You can't just stick it in the freezer.
So when you freeze tissue or cells, then as ice crystals form, they'll puncture the membrane of the cell and destroy it. So there have to be precautions that you take to prevent those ice crystals from forming.
So they've been testing out new techniques. They don't use valuable wolf semen, but very similar plain old dog semen. And there's plenty of that to give us a demonstration.
What we did is we put this straw in the water bath. It's basically a temperature to bring the sperm back to life, kick them back to life out of the cryo process.
And our studies this summer are going to focus mostly on some different aspects of the thawing technique to maximize the recovery of the sample.
So we have moving right here, movement right here.
The hope is that this work will do for the Mexican wolf what Dr. Asa and others have been able to do for 3 fox subspecies native to California's Channel Islands, literally saving them from extinction. This year, the foxes were removed from the endangered species list. But when it comes to Mexican wolves, not everyone is on board with the project.
The progress report for the wolves, I think, is incredible. They've been really resilient, and when they were reintroduced into the wild, they were successful. The complications are one that not all the people who live in the area where they've been reintroduced are supportive of the program.
It has been a very satisfying career. Some of you know that I'm getting near the point of deciding to retire.
She has been in this business of reproductive research for 35 years. And it's not just the zoo animals and the endangered species that have benefited. Dr. Asa has served as an advisor to 25 graduate students and postdoctoral fellows, as well as a steady stream of undergraduate interns.
When you're working in science, I think most of us who work in science, just the thrill of discovery is what gets you going every day. But when you realize that what you're discovering and what you're studying can actually be put to work and you can see it doing some good, actually being productive and helpful, makes it that much more satisfying. So I'm very lucky and have a really great job.